common question that a lot of newcomers within the hobby ask is, do I need an air pump for my aquarium? Well, stay tuned to find out if you really do or not. What's up everyone, James here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about air pumps. We're going to be talking about what they are and if you actually need one within your aquarium. So without further ado, let's get started. So what is an air pump then? Well, essentially an air pump is something that one would use in their aquariums. It's a small little piece of equipment that you have outside of the aquarium. You connect it using an airline tube, and a lot of people sometimes use like an air stone, so a small little sort of ceramic stone fixed to the tubing. And once that's put into the aquarium, that essentially creates like a fizz or a bubble to the top of the water. Now, the reason people would use this, contrary to sort of a very sort of beginner opinion, is that technically the air pump is not putting oxygen in your water through the use of the bubbles. What it's actually doing is the bubbles are creating surface movement, and it's the surface movement that is creating the oxygen for the aquarium. Now, a lot of people would ask, well, I've got a filter in my tank. Do I need, do I need an air pump then? It was a common question that I saw recently on social media, and somebody had their new quarantine tank set up for their fish, and they said that they had a filter in it, but they were worried about the oxygen levels in a small tank and wondered if they needed to add a air stone into the aquarium as well. Now, essentially, if you can get enough surface movement from your filtration system, then you probably don't need to use an air pump anyway, or any sort of method to create that sort of surface movement on the top of the water. So if you can get a sort of a filter that either has a spray bar that maybe be able to point to the surface to create that ripple, or use something like a wave maker if you're using, say, like a marine aquarium, so you've got a wave maker that you can sort of point maybe to the top of the water. If you use an external filtration, a lot of the inlet pipes sit quite close to the top of the water as well, so having them there would create that ripple effect on the water. So technically you don't need to use one, but if you're using, say, for example, internal filters, some of them, a lot of people sit sort of below the water line inside the tank, and yeah, you're not creating much of a water movement if you haven't got it pointed up. So, you know, using something like an air pump is a great way to do that. Another great thing for air pumps that I think has a bit of an advantage over normal filtration devices is that with air pumps you can plug them into what's called sponge filters. So if you're running quite a lot of tanks, say for example like I have down here, I can essentially get an air pump and then feed the tubing, have like a valve system, and then have like tubing coming off that connected to sponge filters in 3 aquariums, and I can effectively filtrate 3 aquariums and create that surface agitation just using one pump. And these days, like, aquarium pumps are so cheap, you know, obviously with the price that factors in how well and how noisy these pumps are, because I won't lie, a lot of these pumps are ridiculously loud sometimes, but you can get good ones, and there is ways to try and dampen the sound. One way that I like to use is add in a sort of a sponge, like a normal kitchen sponge, underneath the pump to stop it from vibrating on the unit or on the windowsill or on the back of this racking system. That's a nightmare for me because, yeah, the racking system's metal framed, so if them vibrating things hit that, then it just starts making a horrific noise. So yeah, I use sponges to sort of try and combat the noise, and that's probably the one downside to using air pumps, is that yeah, they're quite noisy. It's all to do with the way that the pump works inside the piece of equipment, and I think it's a magnet was in there, and it's like negatively charged or something, and I think it just rattles around, and that's what causes the vibration noise. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's roughly what the idea is with them. Another good thing about air pumps is that you can control the amount of pressure or flow that goes through the pump as well, using like they normally come with like a little knob or something on them so you can twist them and increase the flow or dampen them. Again, you can add like additional valves, which I do, and each one of those valves has like a little handle on it. It's like a little tap, and you can turn them down so you can control the amount of flow that's going through each of those. So if you've got plenty of sponge filters, you can help control the pressure, because some aquariums you might want a lot of surface agitation, some you might not. So it really depends on what you're going for in your aquariums, really. But you know, a really old school way of using these pumps is, I'm sure you've seen it online, whereas someone's connected to a diver and he's floating to the top of the aquarium, or a treasure chest, and they bubble up. But thankfully those days seem to be dying off with gimmicky ornaments like that in the aquarium. So yeah, using these pumps more effectively with like filtration devices, for example, is a really good thing. So yeah, that in a nutshell I think is pretty much what a air pump is, and yeah, what it does. Do you need one? Like I said, if you've got good enough surface agitation, then technically no. There's no harm in having one if you want one in there. It all helps to add that thing. It's a great visual thing, I guess. Some people like that sort of that fizz and bubble thing. You can get like spray bars that you sort of connect into, and they sit at the back of the aquarium and bubble up. I remember years ago, I used to have one in a fish tank when I was a kid, and I thought it was the coolest thing. But now I think twice before adding one. But yeah, it didn't stop me a few years back, I won't lie. But yeah. That's it pretty much. So yeah, if you want to check them out, have a look online. There's plenty about. I'm not personally going to recommend any in this video. I might do a couple of reviews on them in the future, but yeah, have a look around, check out the reviews. Some have got big pros, some have got big cons, so it's very mixed. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you are a newcomer to air pumps, and yeah, trying them out. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think of air pumps in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you could, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I put out weekly videos on all of my fish keeping antics, so I'm hoping there's something for everybody out there. If you want to support the channel, there's a link to my merch store in the description below. There's also a link to my Patreon account if you want to help support the channel and any future projects I've got going on. If you want to follow along, there's links to all my social media feeds so you can see what I get up to on a daily, weekly basis. Join in with all the community and the fun of it. And until next time, you stay safe.